Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The long-awaited decision has been made and Germany will now provide Ukraine with Leopard 2 tanks and also allow other countries to transfer their own Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. United States President Joe Biden announced that the next tranche of aid to Ukraine and officially announced the transfer of more than 30 M1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. This will be the iron fist of freedom, President Zelensky said. The United States will transfer 31 M1 Abrams battle tanks to Ukraine. The value of this equipment is $400 million.
Armored capability, as General Austin will tell you, has been critical. And that's why the United States has committed hundreds of armored fighting vehicles to date, including more than 500 as part of the assistance package we announced last Friday. And today I'm announcing that the United States will be sending 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine.
Yesterday, decisions on the transfer of tanks were made by Germany, which will send 14 Leopard 2 A6s from the Bundeswehr reserves to Ukraine to begin with. Training in the use of the tanks should begin in late February. Berlin also allowed other countries to transfer German-made tanks to Ukraine. This decision is in line with our well-known line of supporting Ukraine as best we can. On the international stage, we are acting in a closely coordinated manner. Challenger 2 tanks are already on their way to Ukraine. A week ago, London decided to hand over 14 modern machines to Ukraine. Last year, the United Kingdom gave £2.3 billion worth of military aid to Ukraine.
The UK and our allies must accelerate our efforts to ensure Ukraine wins this war and secures a lasting peace.
These are historic decisions, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, commenting on the agreement to hand over German Leopards and US Abrams. There is already a coalition of tanks, and there is a decision to provide tanks to defend our country. All this proves the most important fact, that freedom is strengthening. A willingness to hand over Leopard tanks has so far been expressed by Poland, Germany, Finland, the Netherlands, Denmark, Portugal and Spain. The Spanish government is ready to hand over up to 50 tanks. Yesterday, Norway joined the emerging coalition. Pressure is also mounting on France, which is considering the transfer of its own Leclerc tanks. Today I was in contact with a number of prime ministers of countries to make this coalition as broad as possible. The formation of this coalition was initiated by Poland. Ukraine asked Poland for support. In mid-January, President Andrzej Duda became the first European leader to announce his willingness to donate 14 Leopard 2 tanks as part of a broader coalition of countries. Whether it's about Patriots or Leopards, it turns out that Germany is acting under pressure, among other things, under pressure from Poland. The project for a new armoured brigade that Ukraine could field is becoming more and more feasible. Most of the important decisions to support Ukraine are increasingly being initiated by Poland, which has become a transport hub for the military and humanitarian support that goes to Ukraine from all over the world. I would like to point out that Poland was approached by the Americans with information in 2021 about the risk of conflict. On Friday, another $2.5 billion package of US military aid to Ukraine was announced in Ramstein. That's more than 550 vehicles, including 90 Stryker armoured vehicles, nearly 60 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, more than 50 MRAP armoured vehicles, and 350 Humvee all-terrain vehicles. In addition, the package included ammunition, anti-aircraft rocket launchers, and more than 100,000 artillery rounds. Importantly, according to US data, a total of up to 3,000 armoured vehicles will arrive on Ukrainian territory from the United States and Western Europe. An anti-aircraft alert was issued across Ukraine today. Ukrainian missile defences neutralised 47 of 55 Russian cruise missiles. 20 missiles were destroyed near Kiev. The situation on the Ukrainian-Russian front has stabilised. The Russians are successfully trying to break through Ukrainian defensive lines. According to Professor Mirosław Banasik, Russia faced a strategic shock due to the West's decision to send Leopard 2 tanks. These are state-of-the-art tanks that, on the battlefield, are unlikely to have any problems opposing Russia's tanks. If the dimension of foreign support persists, Ukraine could gradually liberate Russian-occupied territories over the next few months. Russia will now do its best to use the time as quickly as possible and, one might say, surprise the Ukrainians, and on the other hand, gain time before the tank and infantry fighting vehicles delivered to Ukraine reach full operational capability. Meanwhile, Russia's Belgorod region, bordering Ukraine and Crimea, a hacking attack most likely occurred. A speech by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Ukrainian was aired on television instead of the scheduled programmes. The second reading of bills amending the election code took place in the Sejm today. According to the governing Law and Justice Party, these changes will improve access and transparency in the electoral process. The opposition says the provisions are controversial and does not agree to what it describes as changing the rules during the game. The committee worked on 3 draft amendments to the election code. 2 were governmental and 1 was a parliamentary draft submitted by the Law and Justice Party. We hope that in relation to the current number of precinct electoral commissions, it will increase to about 33,000. That is 6,000 more. We are moving in this direction so that the provisions have already entered into the upcoming elections so that Poles can collectively take part in this celebration of democracy. The MP's drafts also provides for free rides to polling stations for voters from small municipalities where there is no public transport. Everyone who wants to participate in the elections and for various reasons, it is difficult whether due to issues of commuting or their disability. We would like to help them through local government. This, however, entails additional costs. These costs are borne by the provincial governor, that is, for all intents and purposes, the government administration. Opposition deputies call for the introduction of voting by mail from abroad. In the presidential election, 530,000 people voted in the Warsaw district, most of them by mail, and I'm only talking about the votes of the Polish community abroad. These votes in this election will not be there because Polish people living abroad will not have the opportunity to vote by mail. Changes are also to be made to the composition of county and district election commissions. The election code stipulates that the commissions must include judges. After the amendments are passed, they can only be people with a law degree. A judge is a person of public trust who takes an oath and is appointed by the President of Poland and has legal knowledge. I don't understand why Law and Justice doesn't want judges on committees now. We are not excluding judges, just increasing the number of people who can participate in these election commissions and be members. As Law and Justice deputies point out, Poland is the European Union country with the highest number of people per polling station. In Denmark, with 15,000 polling stations, there are about 390 residents per polling station. This is ranked as the number 1 place in Europe. Poland is in last place with 27,415 polling stations and 1,370 residents per station. Transparency in elections. The Law and Justice Party has submitted 21 amendments to the Electoral Code Act to the Sejm. Solidarna Polska and the opposition also submitted amendments. We will analyse all these amendments for the President. The President himself will also analyse this project as an experienced lawyer. This is also a discussion of what nature these changes have, whether strictly technical and organisational, or whether they affect things determined with the outcome of the election. This will also be analysed by the President. The government's draft amendments to the election code envisage confirming voting rights for citizens of the United Kingdom, analogous to those they had before Brexit. The second government draft provides for the creation of a central register of voters, which will collect data on voters and whether or not they have the right to vote. Iya Rodzitskaya, a 92-year-old Ukrainian Jew, has fled Kiev twice in her life. First in 1941, when she was just 10 years old and German bombs started falling on the former Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, and the second time last year when Russia invaded Ukraine on the 24th of February.
I did not believe that this could ever happen, said Rodzitskaya, sitting in the small one-bedroom flat she shares with her son Artur in the Polish city of Kraków. Now it is incomprehensible, because before the Germans were the enemy, you understand. I don't understand the Russians' actions. They think that they are defending their country, that they are defending themselves. But they came to us. They have destroyed the unfortunate Kharkiv. What do they need it for? There is nothing left there. Rodzitskaya slowly goes through family photos she took from Kiev, along with some books, documents, and basic necessities. She squints her eyes, trying to find her young self in the pictures. Her sight is failing her, but her memories are still vivid. She was born in 1931 in a respectable Jewish family. Her grandfather, Nuhim Weisblatt, was the main Kiev rabbi. Her father, Vladimir, was a writer and publisher of books by Ukrainian authors, including Taras Shevchenko, the founding father of Ukrainian literature. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union in early July 1941, Rudzitskaya woke up to the sound of bombs. As a young pioneer, the mass youth organization of the Soviet Union, she was tasked with delivering summons to young men to join the war. But her father knew that as Jews they were no longer safe in Kiev. Dad said in panic that we need to leave, we need to pack and leave. But it was already impossible to leave, because already by July 9th, there was such terrible panic. Everyone who could was fleeing. We left Kharkiv in a kind of ambulance train. I remember how when we were riding across Kharkiv, again bombs were falling. There is a river in Kharkiv called Lopan. We were crossing it through a bridge, and we saw tanks coming. They were bombing those tanks, and we managed to cross this bridge. We traveled for a long time. We passed through Stalingrad, through Kubyshev. I don't remember the order of cities anymore. We traveled by steamboats and freight cars until we reached Tashkent. Rudzitskaya remembers they left Kharkiv on September 21st. On September 29th, the Babin Yar massacre took place. Within 2 days, Nazis murdered some 33,771 Ukrainian Jews, one of the biggest single massacres of Jews during the Nazi Holocaust. Russian shells struck close to the Babin Yar memorial in March of 2022. Rudzitskaya's family returned to Kiev after the war. She got a job as a typographist, got married, and had her only son, Artur. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the two, with the help of a Kiev synagogue, fled first to Moldova, then to Lithuania, where an apartment was made available. But there were a few job opportunities there for Artur. The American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, or JOINT, a Jewish relief organization whose Kiev branch was once headed by Rudzitskaya's grandfather, invited them to Warsaw and then to Krakow. After passing through 10 different apartments since fleeing Kiev, Rudzitskaya and her son have now had a flat for 3 months. From the window, they see a Russian flag hanging from the Russian consulate. When you look the other way, the street looks like Kiev, Rudzitskaya said. I want to go home, just to go out and talk to my neighbors in a language we understand. I had my own daily routine, everything, and here I am torn out of everything there. I already have a grave there. My parents' graves are there, and next to it is my plaque with my name. You just need to put the last digits there and everything will be in order. In the last 11 months since Russia invaded, Russians have killed thousands of civilians, forced millions from their homes, and reduced entire cities to rubble.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business, and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.